we're going international with this one. We're talking to Mike from Germany. Mike, what is going on?
Hello, Erin. Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Well,
Hey.
yeah, hi. It's quite simple, really. I'm essentially an atheist, always have been, and since when it comes to talk about morality and everything, we say how important empathy is. My question would be, what does it actually feel like to believe? Do you have a secular way to express that?
Interesting.
That's a great
Interesting.
question.
I have no idea.
Well, so I'll go first, and then I'll let Erin explain, because I think every believer is probably going to answer this differently, right?
Mhm.
You're taught in Christianity, at least the Christianity I grew up with, that you have a personal relationship with the creator of the universe. Okay. And so the interactions of your daily life, you're going to think, God is watching you. God is doing something in your life. You have to interpret the signs and see what he's doing versus, what just kind of happens. And so the way I grew up was, you can pray for things and God may or may not answer them, which, is all the possible possibilities of anything. Right. But, like the idea is like you're on your best behavior because you know that you have to be a Christian, and what it means to be a Christian is to follow these certain rules and to be in part of this certain community. And there's it's a lifestyle choice, I guess. It's a lifestyle that you try to live, but also, I guess, a philosophy as well, because you're actively doing things and not thinking about certain things because the group that you're with is kind of telling you to do it. I imagine it's pretty similar to what a lot of people in cults probably feel like. But, the authoritarian nature of your beliefs are going to vary depending on which kind of Christianity you follow. I would say, Erin, that your Christianity was much more authoritarian than mine.
It's definitely, I would explain a little bit differently for me. And I think for me, believing was constantly trying to map on the things that my, people that I loved and respected, parents, pastors, the things that they told me were true about reality, and trying to get it to map onto what was actually happening. And for me, I had a lot of anxiety about it because so many things that I was taught to believe, and I did believe it because I really, really trusted the people who were telling me, these authority figures over me. I believed them. I trusted them. They had to be telling the truth. That's kind of how it was. So for me, what it felt like to believe was knowing that this thing was true, but that I couldn't really rely on it, and I had to really work to make it fit into my day to day, and that I never quite had that assurance that other people had. So I always felt like I was kind of somewhere falling behind because I always seemed to have this one area of doubt. And so I thought there was something wrong with me. So I was very self-critical. And then, Dan mentioned it, like kind of like doing things as part of the choice of your lifestyle, and constantly running up against these things that you're told are sinful, but yet it seems to be so natural human nature. So thought patterns and things like that, kind of constantly checking yourself for that. And that can be like a kind of a state of hypervigilance, I would say, where you're almost down, you get down on yourself as soon as you catch yourself thinking or doing something that you've been told is sinful, and you're like, I didn't have any control over that. it happened, and so
it's like
it's confusing to me.
You are told specific situations, right? And you're told how you're supposed to respond in specific situations. And so when you get to those situations, the pressure is on for you to do things a certain way. So if somebody's talking smack about Jesus, you're not supposed to participate, or you're supposed to rebuke someone for that. And that's something you're taught. Or another thing, if you have lustful thoughts of a woman or man, you're supposed to abstain from that and not act on that and not develop any kind of relationship outside of what would be expected from a young Christian couple, which means anywhere between no kissing before marriage to even no hand holding. I don't know. Like there's some places that are like that, but like it's all it's about controlling your actions at the end
Yeah.
of the day. Like it's about keeping the faith. Keeping the faith.
The thing you had mentioned. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I've heard the term God bumps being used as opposed to goosebumps when it comes to specific religious feelings of whatever revelation, things like that. Have you ever had anything like that? I mean, I'm asking you now. You're not asking me, but hey, let's turn this around.
Absolutely, I have. I grew up in a very charismatic church, so the heavy emphasis on that spiritual experience, the goosebumps, the God bumps. So when the music is going and there's an emotional message going on, and somebody comes up to you and says, like, "You want? Can I pray for you?" Those things, those are just experiences that give you the chills, that give you that kind of like transcendent kind of experience. So one of the things that I realized when I was coming out of it was that I went to a concert a year and a half ago, and I had a spiritual experience at this concert, and I, for the life of me, could not think about how that was any different than my altar call experiences. It's the same thing for me.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
When I tell you, when I worked at a Christian camp, right, like that was an eye-opening experience in the sense of, oh yeah, that come to Jesus night that people talk about, that's designed on purpose. 100%, 100%. They will actively tell you, yeah, this is the come to Jesus night. And what happens is they play the sad songs that make you think about your sin, and they turn the lights down real low. And the guy comes out on stage with the acoustic guitar, and he's just slowly talking to you.
Got the
and
prayer chords going on.
It's programmed. It's a programmed message. Like it's designed that way. By humans, not by God. It's not a God influencing that experience. That's human beings who figured out tricks to psychology that help people, believe the thing that you're talking about. Yeah.
The other thing that I found very fascinating on my way out of this was realizing how much personal, like how much prayer and these God bumps things is just a form of ASMR.
Yeah, that's true too.
So
I didn't think about that, but
there's so many things that map on psychologically to these experiences that are that most people who are in a faith think that they can only experience in those moments at church, and they would never even consider trying to have those experiences, those feel good transcendental. I always get that word.
And again, like when you're like, of my experience with a camp, right? When you're literally out there and you see the same thing 10 times, you see the same set over and over and over again. Like it stops becoming a unique phenomenon, and it's a process. It is a factory process.
And especially if you've ever been involved in the worship band, I don't know if you did, Dan, at all.
Oh,
I was on the worship band. I played bass guitar in the worship band. When you start to get behind that curtain and you start realizing how these services are put together and how they line up their the song choice to the lighting to the music to to the message, it's just very constructed.
To be fair, that varies from church congregation to church congregation, but the bigger churches, every time, no doubt, they're thinking about this stuff. The music director, that's why they hire them, to do that kind of stuff. But anyway, hopefully, Mike, that answers some of your questions.
That has helped a lot. And if I want God bumps now, all I need is to turn on Pink Floyd, turn on my headphones, and listen to Wish You Were Here.
Whatever gives you that goosebump feeling, that's the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
I have found the Holy Spirit, so thanks for that.
There you
You're
go,
not
Mike.
out on anything.
Glad you found it for you, and good luck to your days as a Christian now. I guess he has the Holy Spirit, right?